I was born in Greensboro, North Carolina, but grew up in and around New York City. My mother's Armenian. It's her first language. She was born in New York as well, and her parents were genocide survivors. My father's American, and when I was growing up, միայն անգլերեն խոսում եմ, so հետո հիմա հայերեն սովորում եմ Հայաստանում. I specialize in three things. I'm an anthropologist and an artist and a writer, and I'm doing work that integrates all three of them. And it's actually been very cool to be in Armenia, because every time I go to, I'm at Tatev, say, and looking at the information about the monks who are there, and invariably the monk is who was there in the 12th century. He was a musician and a scientist and a mathematician. And so there has been something about being in this culture that has made me feel like that I might have come by that honestly, as we say in English, that maybe from being from a culture that has lived at crossroads and has had to figure out how to blend with lots of different peoples and survive with lots of different peoples, that part of Armenians' strengths consists of being involved in many different disciplines. And in the United States, it's very much you have to do one thing, and I've always loved to do many things and tie them together. So my project is called The Narrative Anthropology of Aging in Armenia. And so, my anthropology work has been on aging lately, though it used to be about childbirth. I seem to like the beginning and the end of life. And I didn't realize it at the time how much coming here would be a way of really understanding my mother and understanding my identity. I'm affiliated both with AUA's College of Health Sciences and with the Institute of Ethnography and Archaeology of the National Academy of Sciences.
So you're both doing research and teaching?
I do teaching, yeah. The teaching, it tends to be more sort of like spot guest lecturing, but because at the Institute, it's all in Armenian, so I've done, I've participated in things and gave talks about my work. At AUA, I've been more actively involved in advising students on their public health theses and helping co-teaching, qualitative research methods and things like that. So,
what have you observed in this particular field in Armenia?
In public health, or
yes.
I'm so impressed with the quality of the work that's going on in terms of public health at AUA. The students, I've taught in Ivy League schools and in the U.S. These are top-notch, dedicated students, hungry for getting the tools to think critically. So it's been just such a pleasure to teach them. And it's a little bit different from my last position teaching in a medical school, where I was there doing something that was required by law, but medical students weren't so sure that they needed to learn anything about humanism. Whereas here I have this sense that every student I've encountered, it's like, I want to learn more, tell me more. So it's really a pleasure to teach them, and I'm impressed with the faculty, the quality of the visiting scholars. It's really a lovely program. Likewise, at the Institute, I'm a little bit less involved because, I'm not teaching classes, but my colleagues there, Haruchu Maruchian and Gayane Shagoyan and Levon Abrahamian, they're just top-notch scholars and thinkers, and I feel so privileged to have kind of landed with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think there are some tangible grounds for cooperation with the respective institutions in the U.S.? Do you have some projects that can be continued further on?
Absolutely. I think that because of the work that I'm doing, it's really important to be connected with anthropologists and both with public health people. And I should mention as well that I work with Mission Armenia, the NGOs. So that's how my entry into working with the elderly population in Yerevan has been pretty much through their generosity. And I envision staying involved somehow or another another. I have groups of active seniors that we meet about once a week at Mission Armenia's 2 different centers, and already it's like, oh, we're going to miss you, and I'm saying, no, I'll be back. Don't worry.
So are you planning to be back sometime, or you don't know yet?
No, I know for sure I was invited to give a TEDx Yerevan talk next year, so I'll be here next fall, and then so I hope I see you there.
Great to see you.
And then in 2014, I think I'll be here to promote my book, and because my book is related to the genocide, I'll be probably back then, and I have ongoing relationships advising students, and so we're talking about how to keep the collaborations going. Similarly, I'm encouraging so many of the young strong scholars that I've met here to apply for a Fulbright to go to the United States, and so keep the collaboration going that way.
Yes,
yes.
I think it's very positive.
Yeah.
Are there any other initiatives that you have undertaken in Armenia, or any interesting projects that you participated in as an artist, maybe?
Yes, there's actually a couple of very fun projects. One of them, this came about through an anthropology connection. So Levan Abrahamian is a wonderful cartoonist, and so he connected me in with all the cartoon artists in Yerevan. So I just participated in the Sunny Dragon Festival and was so honored to, get a silver medal there and to be part of 58, representatives from 58 countries. That was just lovely, and I met just so many talented, interesting artists from Armenia through that. I also have a group of comic artists. A group of us went together to Angoulême, to the international festival that is in Angoulême, France, every year, which was founded by the French Armenian Nvard Chalikyan 40 years ago. And so I'm continuing to work to promote different ways of developing comics in Armenia. And
I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about a resident of Yerevan? How long have you lived actually here? And what's your experience just as a person who lives in Armenia?
In Armenia. I grew up in New York City. I live in the woods right now in Vermont, back in the United States. So for me to be back in a vibrant city with good art, good food, good music, good, all of those things, and to be able to walk everywhere, it's just been fabulous. I feel very lucky. I've gotten involved with many local things. I think that often when diasporans come, or even Fulbright scholars come who have no connection to Armenia, they stay just with other foreigners. And I've gotten involved in a dance group, so my body hump. So every twice a week, I'm out there. I go, to. So it's Anna Berberian from the Garin ensemble. She's one of the dancers there, and this is her own series of classes.
Armenian dance?
Oh, of course, Ambaiman, yeah, Kochari, all those. It's wonderful. So. Living in Yerevan has just been wonderful. I love, I know for me, coming from the country, at first I had a hard time with the noise, and I had a hard time with the cigarette smoke. That actually has been the single hardest thing for me. I have stopped getting into cabs if the driver's smoking. I actually even don't get into marshutkas when the driver is smoking. I just figure another one will come. I wish there was a way to change that, but I know that the people at AUA's public health program are working very hard on that. Yes. So I was wondering, would I be able to get fresh vegetables in the winter? But I have friends in Vermont who are from Yerevan, and they said, no, don't worry, you can get everything. And I was worried there wouldn't be a yoga, and then I Googled yoga Yerevan and found shunch, and then I just said, don't worry, it's all going to be fine. And when I got here, I think it exceeded my expectations in terms of just the vibrancy. But it's interesting to be in a society that is, it's such a new country. And I'm very used to how Europeans look at the United States as being new, but we have 200 some years of history, and there are a lot of challenges when you're only 21 years old and having to put the government together, so make it work. It's such a sad thing to see how many people are leaving because of the lack of jobs here. And I mean, that's really such the biggest problem that I'm seeing with old people. Their families are gone, so they're here on their own. And so it's a system that's set up for family care, and yet the young people have to leave. I think that I would say stay, help the place grow, and that our job is to try and make the opportunities for that to happen, and that's why I've enjoyed teaching at AUA and enjoyed the students that I've met through the Institute, because so many of them are committed to making a direct contribution to their society. So I'd say bravo. That's what I would say to them.
And what would your message be to a diaspora Armenian who hasn't come to Armenia yet, but who has a desire to come to work, to live here? What would you say as a person who has already passed that road?
I would say absolutely do it, but I would also ask them to try and really not be ethnocentric, which is an anthropological term meaning thinking that you're the center, to try and come with a real appreciation for the history and the strengths of the places that you're going, so that it doesn't turn into, I'm coming from the outside and I know what's right and you should do it my way. Come and say, I'm coming from someplace different. It has its strengths and its weaknesses. I'm coming to a place with its strengths and weaknesses. And if I am open and make it so I don't seem like I'm condemning what I see, then there's more possibility for me to learn and for me to share. One of the things that was so obvious to me from my very first encounters with old people here is that the tradition of hospitality, they were not comfortable unless they were also giving to me in ways, like I saw them sharing their stories as such a gift, but one lovely woman made me these socks in the winter. I would not have been comfortable this past winter if she had not knit these wonderful socks for me. They make food, they want to tell me their stories. It's sort of this sense of exchange. So that's what I would say. Just keep that really high, and the sort of the respect always in your mind, and be flexible.